First off, I want to thank Wilson Basketball. This is so amazing because they said it's a family reunion. And doesn't it feel like a family reunion, getting to see so many amazing women in sports and then reconnecting with people even in Cleveland All-Star game right here, and it's been amazing just to cross paths with so many amazing people. I'm going to go down the line and read everyone. I'm not going to read a bio. If you want to get into it, I'll just introduce you just a little bit. To my right, I have Bridget Linton, ESPN Cleveland. Yes. Then I have across from her, Betnijah Laney. I can go down the line with you, honey. WNBA star, most improved player right out the gate, and then you're an all-star, so congratulations. Then I have across from me my sister friend. I don't even know how to get all into the details, but just having Khristina Williams across from me, the CEO of Girl Talk TV, right? Girls Talk Sports TV, and just everything you've been able to do. Forbes 30 under 30. We have another one at the table as well. We'll go straight into Ariel Chambers, who's been unbelievably phenomenal, the CEO of Highlight Her as well. You have done so much for women in sports, but also just continuing the conversation. We have other women at the table that have done so as well. Then I have Greydy Diaz. Thank you so much for being here. You are on fire right now, by the way. Sports journalist, I feel like you do entertainment. You just are across the board doing so many different things. So it's exciting to see you here, and I want to hear more about your story because I know you have a lot of things going on too. And then down the line, also with ESPN Cleveland, we have Betsy Pugliese. Did I say it right?
Pugliese, but
Pugliese,
very close.
like bolognese,
like
but
bolognese,
Pugliese.
but Pugliese, yeah, good.
So we got that handled. I'm Angel Gray. Since we are in Cleveland, I must say that I am the former sideline reporter for the Cavs, so shouts out to the Cavs. Of course, we have some amazing people in the building that are supporting us in that sense, but now I am with ESPN as a broadcaster, so here we are. I have to just jump right into it, and I'll stay with Betnijah because you are the professional at the table, honey. So when you're just looking at how our hashtag has been established, bonded by ball, and just seeing so many different women at the table that are representing different outlets, different ways on how they cover the game. What does it mean to you? What does that look like when people say bonded by ball, specifically with women in basketball?
It means a lot, to have not everyone here plays basketball, but it's just that we are bonded by the game. We're bonded by being women who love the sport, who love the game of basketball, and doing our part in, a lot of different ways. So it's really nice to be able to come together and just, share this experience.
This is awesome. Thank you, obviously, for joining us too. I want to go back to ESPN Cleveland because this is home for you guys. So when you see everyone coming to your city and then representing, we have this sense where women's basketball is growing, but women in sports, honestly, is growing in so many different ways. Your hand in that and how you continue to grow that. I'll start with you, Betsy.
Yeah, so I've been with ESPN now for 13 years, and it's so interesting. When I started at this office in Cleveland, it was mostly male. It's so exciting to see. Our office is probably now 65% female. We are taking over, and it's so cool. We were talking about it before. So symbolic to be sitting at this table right now with women who all have a love for the same thing. It's just really cool to be a part of.
And it's so amazing that being here in Cleveland as well, we're walking here, our city is lit up right now.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
telling you guys, Cleveland, we love it. We live here, we work here, we love it so much. But our city never looks like this. There's cars, there's people celebrating our city, and to be sitting at this table with all of you is probably the highlight of the whole weekend. So this is amazing.
Should we drink to that? It's water. Yes. We'll drink to that. It's just water. It's just water. Cheers to everybody. I'll go across the table and I know just with you three too, just understanding the growth of the game and where it's come from and how awesome it is where it's just like, we're not going to wait on anybody else to tell our stories. Point blank period. And you've done so and then created entities and where you are creating the dialogue, covering the stories and making sure it goes beyond the court. So I'll start with you. Khristina, just understanding, establishing your brand, establishing what you wanted to do in the game of sports and broadcasting. How did you establish that? When did you realize that was something that you wanted to do?
In 2018, I created Girls Talk Sports TV, just marrying my two passions of sports and storytelling. I studied journalism in college, but always had a love and passion for basketball, women's basketball. For me, it was seeing Shannon Bobbitt play in Harlem, where I grew up, just on the courts, being all the neighborhood kids. I mean, that's really where I saw if you could see it, you can be it. And just seeing where she went from playing under Pat Summitt to then eventually getting drafted into the WNBA, I knew that basketball, if I'm not going to play it, could also change my life in many other ways. And so in 2018, just really started my company just to provide that equitable media coverage, because no one would really give me the opportunity in terms of getting into the industry. It was so hard. And so I started the company just to kind of give myself my own opportunity, carve out my own niche. And then I met Ari, I think it was like a year in.
Yeah, we met at Whole Foods.
And yes, we met at a Whole Foods in Harlem. We met through our friend, a mutual friend of mine, Danny, who ran Lady Ballers, which was like an open run in New York City. And so sat down with Ari, we talked about our goals, what we wanted to accomplish in the women's basketball space. And one of my first games that I covered in W, I shadowed Ari. She kind of taught me the ropes because it was different from my fashion and entertainment background, but always had, like I said, the passion for storytelling. And so here we are.
Messed around and got addicted.
Right.
Messed around and got
addicted to it. And here we are, and it's great to be able to sit next to her at this table. We started, like I said, Whole Foods in Harlem, and now here we are.
Shout out 125.
Shout out 125.
I'm not from New York, but it's
all right,
fine.
we are not going to make this a New York show, okay?
Just going back to providing that equitable media coverage, and then just networking across, because you just never know, where you'll end up. And basketball has changed my life completely. So
yeah, absolutely. Ari, we'll pass you the baton. I felt like you already talked about where you guys met. Whole Foods probably has a whole new sponsorship for you guys, so congratulations.
All right, my bad, Wilson.
But in that regard, she mentioned just creating that space of, we need more coverage.
Yeah.
What did that look like for you?
So, guys, if y'all didn't know, I've known Angel for a long time, and I remember us sitting in booths talking about our goals, and I just know that I saw my friends who played in the league not getting their stories told, and that's always been my goal. I never, we're sitting at this table, I'm so glad that there's room and space for us all, but for me, the players come first, and I want to help amplify them. I'm a cheerleader by heart. I've been cheering my whole life. Want to remain a cheerleader, amplifier for their stories. That's what the root of it is. And so being able to just take it upon myself. I have my cell phones propped up in these conference rooms of the Renaissance hotels. That's where everybody stayed when they came in to MSG to play when they're the away team, and just posting them online. And I was fortunate enough, I think a lot of times with blessings, luck plays into it. Luck and timing and obviously preparation. But I was found, and Bleacher Report asked me to make their women's platform, and I did. And just pulling from ideas of all my peers and just pulling from your determination, Angel, it was really dope to see what it could be. And I now know that we've opened the door so many people behind us can come up, and it's not even behind. So many people beside us can come enter, and we're like, what is it, like in it, when they're all the tethereds and they're all held in hands?
We're all like, what's your
follow me here, follow me here.
You're following.
They're all paper cutouts just walking through the door together, and I think that's really dope. And Wilson allows us to sit at this table and be bonded by ball, and so we have people like Betnijah who live like athletes, so we can tell the stories. And I think that we're only on the tip, right? It's only going to keep going up.
I got chills, first off, because just when you're describing it, and everyone is represented here, every single background, right? Where you can say, look at us, like there's room for us. How do we continue to create space, share the stories? Because everyone has a different type of story, So that's exciting, and I'm loving the fact that you guys are continuing to do it. Even in a social media space, Greydy, looking at how many things you've been able to do, pushing the envelope in many different ways. How have you been able to establish your name while also growing the game?
Well, I think for me, I've always just wanted to be myself. I grew up a hooper. My 10th birthday gift was actually a gift to see Lisa Leslie play. That's all I wanted. And I got that for my 10th birthday, and from there I was like, I want to be a WNBA player. But now I get to cover people like Betnijah, you know what I mean? So for me, I've just always wanted to be myself, and I feel so comfortable in this space. It's what I grew up, doing, and I'm just constantly trying to grow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just tapping real quick, because you asked what it looked like. I remember us at the Mystics games, and I was like, Greydy, can you just hold the phone, in the same way with me in the Liberty games. But it's like we were up against these people with these huge cameras, and the PR didn't know, poor Sam Taker, didn't know what we were doing in the locker rooms. And so I'm just glad that it's grown to the social landscape, and we can be ourselves and really put forth the stories how we want to put them.
on my phone while
Yeah,
I do this
right.
interview.
Before the little halo light
Right.
had that option where you're like, okay, I can't do this in this capacity, but now we're here. So to that point too, now we've established it. The greatest saying is the hardest part is getting started. We've done that. So, and I'll go back to Betnijah, just seeing the game go, the new CBA, the rules, and like how everyone has invested in the game. And it's a great product. And what you guys are doing beyond the court and everything that you guys have been able to establish from brands and it was funny just listening to Sydney. She was like, where the brands at? On New York, where are the brands? Like, I want the people to look at me and how we continue, because the women have incredible personalities and stories too, and passions beyond sports. So what's the next step for the game?
Oh, man. I mean, I feel like we've grown so much already, even from when I first came into the league.
Yeah.
You know, this new CBA is a major milestone for the WNBA. And obviously, you know, we're hungry and we always want more. So I think to just kind of stay on that path, you know, to have people continue to back us, to put their money where their mouth is. You know, we just got that big allotment from a lot of investors, which was really
75
nice.
mil.
Yes. So, you know, just using that to just help grow. You know, the league has also done a really good job of now showing who we are, as opposed to us just being basketball players and that's all you know us for. We have these partnerships, we have these different opportunities. We're able to use our platform for a lot of different things, whether it's fashion, whether it's social justice, whether it's, you know, motherhood, just a lot of different things. And so I just want to see us continue to grow, you know, in any way, just bringing positive light to us, more fans, more opportunities, more money, you know, all of those kind of things as we continue to proceed.
One of my favorite things that Ari used to say was, you deserve, for sure. You know what I'm saying? And I remember going back to the bubble, 2 years ago in 2020, and just everyone was waiting to see what the men were going to do. We're not knocking the men, but women also lead, right? And the fact that you guys were so united is the word that I think of, together. It wasn't just one team doing something, and it was everybody on that same page. When you talk about the politics side, you can talk about brands, you can talk about many different things, but the fact that when you're speaking on something where they say, don't bring politics into sports, you were a part of that. What did that feel like, and how do you think that even grew the game in itself?
It was great, because I remember a few years ago, I forget exactly what it was, but we tried to take a stand as a league and we got in trouble. You know, there was a lot of backlash for it. And so the fact that we were able to use that season to use our platform for something more than basketball, and that's what we were. We were unified. If one team did it, we were all doing it, and we talked about it. We came together. And so that also, it gave us something more to play for than just ourselves. And so, like, with that, I'm super proud to be a part of this league where they're allowing us to use our voice, where we are coming together. You know, we stay unified through everything, because we have, and you know, it was discussions and everybody's voice was heard.
Right.
You know, and we came to a unified decision. So the fact that we all have voices, didn't matter who it was, what it was, but we were able to come together for something bigger than ourselves. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Woo. I know y'all remember that. And I was just like, yo, look at us. Look at us growing, y'all. Look at this. I want to go back to Bridget and Betsy and just the workspace. You were mentioning right off the top how the dynamic has changed just as far as representation, right? So I remember around that same time, the plea was like, how do we continue to diversify? How many people are actually going to be able to say we have representation at the table in this sport where it's very male dominated in instances? How do you continue to push the envelope in a sense where it's just not, we have a token female at the table, we have one person that may be in an executive role, we have one person that may be a producer. What does that look like in the workspace now, and how you can push the envelope even more?
Yeah, so Bridget and I do sales and content, so we're a little bit of both, and it's so interesting. I always say, most of the people we work with are men. They're white business owners. It's just the story of probably most of our lives. And I remember I was at a meeting, and my partners, who I've worked so hard behind the scenes for, wouldn't look at me. wouldn't look me in the face, looked at my boss, who's also a white male. And it's just so interesting in that moment. I was like, wow, this is real. This is real life, and it's gonna be so hard to get out of this. But I remember I walked out of that meeting and I told Sam, my boss, I was like, either you tell them or I'm gonna tell them, like either they respect what I'm doing or like I just don't need to work with them anymore. And so I think we've all had our small part in taking our stands, whatever they are. That was mine, and it's just continued to grow from there. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
And aside from sales too, just being on air, so I've moved away from the sales and more into the content role, and I want a sports talk show. I love sports. I love my city of Cleveland. I love my Cleveland teams. I'm the first female to be on as a full-time host at ESPN Cleveland. It's 2022. It's insane. And that just happened this year. Betsy and I, we go on together. We do a pop culture fun segment once a week. And literally, it was 2021 during the pandemic. I really kind of pushed for, I really want to use my voice and be on air. I want to talk as a fan here in Cleveland. We don't have any females on there. So now I'm on Monday through Friday. And I'm like, isn't it insane that I'm like making history in sort of a way, and it's 2022. But I feel like, okay, I'm the first one. Now I'm sure there's going to be more. And it's just going to continue to grow. Not just in basketball, not just in sports, but in every career as women. We just have to keep pushing forward, and I think that's happening.
I think it's a lot of firsts at this table, which is very ironic because I feel like we're all young. I know I'm young. I feel like we're all young in that space, and I remember getting a text from you, Khristina, actually, when I got the job with the Atlanta Dream, and everyone was like, oh my God, you made history. I said, I've been in Atlanta. I don't know what the deal is. And they're like, you're the first all-female, all-black, broadcast. And I was like, okay, the first. And I'm like, huh. Now this is kind of weird and this is kind of wild. So continuing that, okay, can we get rid of all the first? Like, great, we've established it, but we need to now show them that we deserve a seat at the table, right? Because we worked damn hard, sorry Wilson, to get here. And we understand the work that has gone to it. So before we end, I know we have the 2 minute, we got our friend in the corner over there saying we got 2 minutes to wrap this thing up. I do want to just end on a light note for this as well and go around, obviously women in basketball, but I think you guys touch on a little bit of what it meant to you and how you established what you wanted to do in your lives and in your careers. But your early memory of basketball and when you knew it was going to be an impact in your life was when?
I mean, probably just picking up the ball for the first time. I always was a girl who just loved sports. I grew up a tomboy. The first time I will always remember it. And I just remember never putting it down, honestly. So I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old. And yeah.
And there it is. We'll go with you.
Okay, so I need to be honest. I'm not a sports fan. I work in sports. I've been in sports my whole life. But the fact that I can be in sports and do this and still get a ton accomplished is insane. And that's really what's incredible to me about sports.
I love that because you created your own path in the sports lane, and I didn't play basketball either. So my first memory was when I took field trips to in elementary school to NC State women's basketball games. I saw Coach K yell. And then after the game, we got to speak to the players. I didn't get to do that at the men's games. And so I fell in love with Kristen Green, who didn't even finish out her eligibility. And so she signed my player card and I had them cards on the wall. I said, you know what? These are powerful women, and I wanted to do for them. I wanted to pay back the game what it poured into me, even though I didn't play it. And so that's where I'm here now.
Khristina?
I know I mentioned if you can see her, you can be her. But also for me, I remember in 5th grade, after seeing Shannon kill it in Harlem, beating everybody at Rucker, whatever. My middle school didn't have a girls basketball team. They said girls could only be cheerleaders, and I wanted to play. And so I remember going up to the principal and the basketball coach, even at a young age in 5th grade, and being like, hey, what's good with the girls team? I could get some girls together and we can do this. And they're like, oh no, whatever. And then I remember keep pressing the issue for a year straight in 5th grade. By the time I got to 6th grade, there was a girls team. And so that was one of my first earliest memories of if you can see her, you can be her, and just also fight for what you want.
That's perfect. That's perfect. B.
For me, I was the same as you coming up. I hated sports. I didn't want anything to do with it. The only thing I did was ballet, and then I started cheerleading. That was the closest I was getting to sports.
Okay.
But then just always being around it, just seeing the passion that my mother who played had for it, the passion that my brother had for it, and just like the fun that they were having, that's what got me into it. And that's like what I remember. I remember hating it at first, and then just seeing everything that was coming from it, and then just loving it.
Look at the glow up. Everybody can't say I just stepped on the scene and it was like bow and like bow.
So it took a lot of work. I did not know. It took a lot of work. Believe me, I was terrible when I first started, but I'm here now.
By God, I'm here now.
I was going to say, I'm the opposite. So I grew up Irish dancing. If you guys don't know what that is, like the river dance, Florida, the dance. And so I've always been a dancer my whole life. And I'm 5'11", so I'm tall. I'm like, oh, I want to play basketball. I created history another time in grade school. My coach came out and said, you know, I've been coaching for 30 years. I've never had a player never score 1 point until this year. Bridget, that was you. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Never made one basket. So I decided, all right, if I can't play the game, I guess I'll just be a fan. And now it's amazing. I get to talk about it for a living.
No, we'll snap to that. I'll just share mine really, really quickly. I remember being in Atlanta, and it was the Olympics when they came down. Right before that, it was the AEBL, where women were practicing and playing with one another. And I was like, Lisa Leslie, you see Rebecca Lobo and Cheryl Swoops and everybody just practicing open. And then they were amazing women. Like, they didn't have an ego where you couldn't approach them. And I was like, yo, I want to be that. Like, they are bosses, like, off the court, on the court. They're amazing. Seeing them in the Olympics was unbelievable. And I remember the inception for the WNBA and looking at my television, which was like old school. It may have been black and white, but it was just cool just seeing like the countdown till the WNBA started. And I was like, dang, I can't wait to see everybody. And Cynthia Cooper with her tongue out, running down the floor, I was like, it's done. Basketball is a part of my life. So to all the women who have established that for us, we say thank you. For the people at the table now, for the women at the table now, continuing your journey, because obviously someone is looking at all of us and saying the same thing. Thank you for what you're doing for the game. So, Wilson Basketball, thanks for allowing us to have a seat at the table. This has been awesome. Thank you for sharing your stories. We're going to log out. Thank you.